This is Jeff Bryant. I'm calling the meeting of the Economic Development Committee to order. Can I ask for an approval of the agenda?
So moved.
Would you like to second? Would you like to second it? I have a motion and a second. Roll call, please. We're going to have Bob sit in for Tom.
Roll call, Henry.
Here. Aye.
I said roll call.
Yeah.
We,
But
but, sorry.
that's okay.
Approval of the agenda, Mylan. Bryant,
Aye.
that motion, whatever it was, carries.
Okay, I will, our first request is the home field development request, and I will turn it over to Mr. Johnson.
Thank you. So, as you know, Patrice has been working on this project and the other project for some time. That's really Cabo. It started earlier. Patrice, if you want to give them some background information on home fields, that's the project up first.
Okay, Homefield is the 50-acre youth-oriented baseball complex. It's at 1501 North 90th Street, case K69. Richard Napper is a developer of home fields of the complex, and they have submitted an economic development request for $2,250,000 for assistance with the electrical components and infrastructure of the project. Baseball complex will consist of 8 synthetic turf lighted fields with concession amenities. So it's supposed to be a baseball field that's going to attract a lot of youth, both local and about and out of the city. And so the request is to help with the cost of the lighting of the field and electrical infrastructure. So the project is going to be 100% electric because of course it's lighting. And so that's kind of where we are. That's what the request is for.
So in addition to that, there's been some recent announcements. They're also looking at building out further. I think the total project cost, including Margaritaville and everything else, is $900 and something million total for the entire project. They are requesting some additional STAR bonds. So the city's already entertaining that request and having a conversation with the state. I'm not sure what all other incentives and other things are going to be included with that, but
I think it's a substantial request at the city level.
okay. So, and these are all public dollars, okay, they will be providing jobs. Some of those jobs will be occupied by people outside the community, so it's not like the money is going to be recycled within our community. I think it's quite a bit support that this community is providing. I mean, I'm glad to see the project goes, but you know, it did become the point as to where does BPU step in and help, and just so see any path forward for us. That's why my recommendation is going to be not to support it. Primarily based on the infrastructure that they want us to pay for, this infrastructure that they would have to put in based on BPU policy. Okay, and we do have some overhead lines out there today for construction work. Permanent service is going to have to go underground based on the UG ordinance. And that's where the majority of the cost is going to come from. You know, I don't necessarily want to continue supporting things like that because we've had to extend service out so that they can connect, and BPU has already spent a lot of money in that area on running underground feeders out, making those available for customers to tap and take power the rest of the way to their development too. So it's not like we haven't spent money. We'll continue to spend money, especially when you look at these greenfield development where we don't have power. We got to get power out to them. And customers should bear some responsibility of taking it the rest of the distance.
And for this particular project, they are getting STAR bonds. And they received sales tax incentives from UG as well as the state. And the project was also the recipient of the Spark grant from the state as well. So they have received quite a few incentives so far for this particular project.
Well, and after reading through it, I would agree with staff's recommendation. I believe that it's a for-profit business that's will be servicing my threshold a lot of times for economic development is, will it assist our elderly or our low income? And how will it impact those segments of our city? And I don't see where that is a large contributor in either place. So I am more than happy to see, the land being used, and I hope they're wildly successful and make a ton of money and stay and continue to. I would agree and ask for any other input.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree with staff's recommendation as well. So I presume that they didn't share any financial records with us because they're a privately owned company and.
Yeah, he said, I was told that they could not share any of their financial information with us.
So could not so it's against the law for them to do it or, I mean, because that's how I would interpret that.
That's not what was stated to me.
If they provided financials to us, could we keep them under seal? I think I've seen that in the past.
Yes, that's one of the exceptions to the open records.
You betcha. Okay,
We'd be able to keep that private.
okay. I mean, that concerns me, right? I mean, I'm sure they absolutely have the financing and all the deals and whatever, but if you're gonna enter into a partnership, I mean, maybe they provided into the UG, maybe they didn't.
They say they didn't provide it to UG.
And that's fine. And I mean, look, I hope it's wildly successful as well, but for the reasons, you've stated and staff has stated, I'm not, I mean, number one, they asked for $2 million. Are you kidding me? And number two, I'm not inclined to support this at this time. If they want to come back, I guess I'd keep it in the limits of what we have authority to grant and B, I don't know, maybe, show us some cards.
Better understanding the partnership.
That's right. That's right.
Do you have any input you'd like to add?
I'm going along with the recommendation, not having chance study this whole project entirely. I'm going with recommendation from. Recommendation. Because it's working all fast out there right now, so we gotta stay them almost up. The grandstand, that's all. This will.
So if I can add this piece too, I mean, this is still an ongoing conversation with the UG to make sure that BPU is part of these economic development, this conversation with these developers when they come in. I did ask Angie, and she did help on getting access to their bond counsel, because I wanted to make sure that in any agreement with the STAR bonds, with the state, with the unified government, that they are responsible for paying for utilities. And it is called out in those agreements that they are. So it won't be such a surprise to them what these costs are. That's why we need to be there early. Okay. And that's the conversation I'm continuing to have with the UG is to be fair, they should understand what the cost of connecting electric and water is. And then they can do their due diligence in planning out the rest of all their design and construction efforts. And that these surprises won't come up later because we just met with us. I think a couple of weeks ago at the service center with the electrical engineers. There are some other pieces that they're gonna have to build besides this, okay? And I think the price tag for that is gonna be somewhere between $5 and $6 million on top of this. So now they're complaining about that, okay? Well, that's the reason, again, if we're there early on, if we have some understanding of what their plans look like already, we can get started on our electric design. And but this has been an ongoing problem for a long time, and And I'm still trying to address it. So,
Well, and understanding that's an issue, right? But a seasoned developer is not going to be surprised that they have to connect utilities to their development,
I agree.
you know?
So, the guy that Patrice is working with, Richard Napier, is a finance banker that, Schlitterbahn brought in to sell off the property when they decided they wasn't gonna build out the rest of the Schlitterbahn, development. So he was the one that we worked with on all the car lots, all the other development. And, so these are not new conversations to him. And because we had these same conversations and they got pretty heated in one or two meetings. But this is our cost. This is what BPU is committing to the project, and this is what you're gonna have to bear on your side, so. And now here we are in another phase of this.
Well,
I don't believe that they're going to pull up stakes and stop the project because of this, so.
Yep.
And looking at it, it's almost 15 years at 161,300 a year in revenue. It's almost 14 years just to pay off the commitment to it and basically it's the citizens of our community, which we've been paying for 14 years just to recoup just the expenditure without all the add-ons that happened during those 14 years. All right, we will add that to the regular session of the next meeting to just present it. Well, actually, we should probably do it in a work session where we can present it to the full board, just what this committee. So
You wanna get it to them early so they can read it, be prepared.
if you wouldn't mind, yeah, we'll make sure they're distributed so they can look at them between now and
And
the
then
next meeting, and then we'll just have in a work session. It shouldn't take but a few minutes just
they put it on their agenda for the regular session.
for the,
So is that the June meeting?
well, do we have to put a vote on the regular session on all economic development? Whether we approve
The
or.
resolutions.
Okay, so yeah,
we're
let's,
doing the resolution, just make sure we have.
it's
Based on
clearly
what
communicated.
you guys approve.
So why don't we put a,
Want to go back and revisit the policy?
no, I just, it's been a while since we've done this, sorry.
So the last time we did it, I did two resolutions depending, so that the board,
You know, which way we went.
yes,
Okay.
and then I left room for on the yay resolution, I left room for stipulations that the board.
If needed.
if we did.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, let's just go ahead and plan that for the.
June 7th?
June 7.
And we can put a small placeholder in the work session, for both of these, just in case there's any questions from the rest of the board. To fill in any gaps, but if they have these to look at between now and then, hopefully will come. All right, next one.
Okay. The next one.
Yeah, we'll move to the next one.
So if you remember last year, Edgar came to the board as part of our neighborhood groups coming in, kind of,
The summer.
yeah, summer youth program. So, and so he was talking about how those funds were being used and the community benefit that went with the dollars that the board has granted, you know, through those efforts. And he had made a request and kind of let all of us know at the time that he's working on securing a building and wanted to make it a more of a public meeting space or meeting space that he can offer up as part of CABA's work throughout the Central Avenue KCK district. So I did meet with him. I had a couple of board members ask me about it. So I did meet with him, went down, looked at what piece of the building he's already occupying and then the other piece that he wants to refurbish. Right now, there's no walls, there's not much in there, completely unfinished. And what I told him that I would do based on this conversation is he have to be all electric, have to meter it at parts separately. And then he'd also have to have the meeting space available for BPU. Now we didn't set on any set number of time of the year, but he had talked about maybe coming down once a quarter meeting and 7 special BPU meetings with the public around the Central Avenue. Kind of the way of us taking our programs, anything else out to the public and then meeting people at their place and having those type conversations and really building goodwill throughout the Central Avenue business area and primarily with the residents in that area. Because I did ask him, how can we improve BPU's image, along Central Avenue and especially to the Hispanic community? And so that's the growing population and we don't hear from them. So I don't really have a good gauge as to, are they satisfied with our efforts or not? So we have to kind of reintroduce ourselves and then go a little bit farther. So based on that conversation, based on his commitment to do what I asked, I am recommending that we do support that.
So my question on this one was, it's basically buying property. So I asked that question about, has there been any previous economic development that was in this format?
Nope. Involved in new development.
I mean, I like what Cava has done. I think Cava is one of the more active neighborhood development in our community. I think that they really spark a lot of new business growth in their area. But that's the one thing I just wasn't sure about, basically setting a precedent like this. I do like the observation that we have an opportunity to be able to have another meeting space where, kind of like when we used to do the things out at the West Wyandotte Library, where you take it to the people and people feel much more comfortable, not coming here, and being able to be someplace in their own community.
So the other part of that is, even though it's all been new, when the board makes decisions on economic development in the past, like the apartment buildings over here, or like the junior college or any subdivision, I can't tell you if some of that money don't go to purchase the land. I mean, it's just get money given to the project. So what they do with the money is up to them, really. So then, I mean, that's.
Yeah, but except that they actually spell it out in their request to
Yeah.
purchase. And that's the part that, and I don't know whether there's any problem with that or not.
Right.
That kind of would be the decision that the board would have to make.
Yeah, and I guess, so my thoughts on this are this, and Jeff, as I heard you talk, despite the fact that the board may never have done this before and always thinking about like, new economic, new buildings, new this. Well, there's gonna be some areas in KCK where new isn't gonna cut it, right?
Mhm.
But do we need economic development less there? No, and by your own admission, you got all the things that Cava does, getting us new businesses into the Central Avenue corridor. I mean, I think it's unique.
Yeah.
But I don't think personally, I think it could be of great benefit, not just obviously to BPU for goodwill, but I think it'd be a great benefit to, that part of the community.
And we're retaining the business.
Absolutely.
Well, and I agree. I just want to make sure that we're not doing anything that would open up us for any problems.
No, I've been meeting with Edgar quite a few times the last few months and kept an eye on what he's doing, what Cava's doing. Since the 45 years they've been in business, I mean, they really have a pretty good, clean record. And I'm from Central Avenue.
Mhm.
I've seen what it was in 85. I walked those
Oh, yeah.
streets and what he's done to that building in that area and that Hispanic community was needed. And he's leading the way. I mean, he's there in the community, weekends, every weekend. And I've watched that over the time. And that was when I got onto this early on, I wanted to see what really opened my eyes, and he really did open my eyes on what that Cava is doing for the community and what his vision is. I think he has a beautiful vision with not just today, not tomorrow, but 5-10 years from now, what's it going to be? His vision seems like to be a very beneficial vision for not just him, not the community, but the utility as well, especially with him putting that community committee meeting in there, that office space in there for us at any given time. And he echoed that to me as well, to Bill.
So that is the one recommendation I would make, is if the board feels comfortable it passes this, that part of it be a written agreement. That's memorialized, that the use of that space.
Yeah,
Completely agree.
yeah, and I would say that the Cabo organization as a business incubator in our community, especially in the east of Memphis, has outperformed any other business incubator.
And we list all the programs.
Oh, yeah, they've done
They have here. They have-
they've been so active in theirs. I wish that so many more of our neighborhood groups
Yes, they're
were
very connected.
anything like that, but, and that's why I have no problem with this. I mean, I just want to make sure that was just a weird request,
And you,
one that I've never seen in 12 years.
and you mentioned precedent, so the board could receive more, and the board might receive more anyway.
Yeah.
It's just.
Have we ever received one for $2 million?
I believe we received. We declined some pretty big.
But I'm getting assistance for $60,000 to purchase the building. So are we part of that building? Was it, we have it.
So this is just a fraction of the price of the building. Did you send a letter out or is it included in here?
Letter is included in his request letter is in here on
Yeah.
page.
I think the building is like 500,000-600,000.
Yeah.
So,
At the beginning, he was wanting that 20% that you have to put down to get the ball rolling. When you buy a property, that was his main goal at the beginning, just to get it rolling. He was gonna work on the rest.
I think it's in section.
and then all of the remodeling and the refurbishing, that's money on top of the 600 or so that he's spending. So
So this is just such a small percentage of what their true cost is that they're asking for partnership on.
Yeah, under section 6, after that. Kind of
uh,
Cabo's 560,000.
Yeah, I mean,
Let's see.
as far as I'm concerned, I think that this is one I have. This is, to me, what our community economic development is supposed to be. It's helping the people, the citizens of our community. I'm not saying that private businesses don't help, but that is not their first and foremost goal in life, is to help the community. Theirs is to make a profit and to be, longevity, but this is actually well established that it is for the improvement of the community and perpetuating the improvement of the community and hopefully expanding on it, and others see from that and it spreads throughout our
Well,
eastern and then western.
in 30 years, we have not purchased a building in the economic development funds that I'm familiar with. This is brand new to me.
Yeah, well, that's why it was to me, but the way they kind of explained it makes sense that we're not purchasing a building, we're giving them $60,000 to go toward their project. And what they do with that 60,000 is part of, it may not even be the part that's used to purchase the building, it may be a part that's used to renovate.
And they have renovated, if you look at the back, we got
Quite a-
pictures
Quite
showing
a few,
where they.
yeah.
I would imagine the renovation itself would be 60,000.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, easily,
So
yeah.
And let's not lose sight of what's going on in that building now. I was there yesterday, and what he has going on in there is they have small entrepreneurships in there that have, there's 6 or 7 cubicles. You can rent that cubicle out for a day if you're starting off to have a business. You're allowed to use the boardroom. So it's a business atmosphere for kids, have this vision. You can rent it for a day, you can rent it for a month, you can rent it for a week, and you have a place to start something out. And you see these kids and they're doing just that. And it's heartwarming. They got the little sewing area in the back where they're, people are gonna have to sew. They just, you see a lot of, this growth, community growth just in that building alone.
Well, I personally feel like this is one I am 100% behind recommending to the full board. Would you agree with that?
I agree.
Do you see any sticking points on this?
Well, it's a new venture. And so are we really some type of partnership with this? So,
No, but there is going to be the stipulation that we will have access to the building at a certain frequency. For
So-
BPU.
Related outreach and meetings.
So like if we want to have remember when we do the weatherization?
Right.
All those programs out at West Wyandotte Library, well, we could do something like that down there and reach all the people closer to that part of town in Central Avenue District.
He's also talking about. He haven't asked for any DPU support, but he's also looking at a couple of other buildings farther east on 6 on Central Avenue that he wants to purchase and renovate. He asked me about charging stations. I said, well, you know, we're gonna have to land on what we're gonna do to support that. My guess is we'll support the private industries. And if people want to put the charging stations in, we'll certainly have a rate for that. We'll be able to support it through those efforts. But so he showed me some sketches of a building and how he wants to redo the frontage. Have some charging stations out there. I just said, you know, you may be introducing that to the community quicker than everybody else, other than if you go out to a few businesses out around in the Legends that's got them.
But for us, it would still be pay as you go.
Right. If you go, right.
That's going to be a costly adventure on that. Charging station. All right, well, I think that I would say I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second. Roll call.
Roll call, Mulvaney Henry,
Aye.
Island, Island.
I'm still thinking,
Oh,
well, I don't see we gonna lose anything. I'll say. Aye.
Well, the motion is just to adjourn.
yeah,
What's adjourn?
yeah.
Bryant,
Aye.
that motion carries. The meeting is adjourned.